Iraqi bankers are flying to Washington. Why everyone is talking about a new rate. What if the biggest clue about Iraq's financial future isn't coming from Baghdad? What if it's happening inside meeting rooms in Washington, D.C.? Over the past few weeks, reports of Iraqi banking officials visiting the United States have sparked major discussions across the global currency community. Some investors believe these meetings are routine. Others believe they could be connected to Iraq's broader financial reforms and long-term economic plans. Today on Global Currency Watch, we're separating facts from speculation and examining why these meetings are attracting so much attention. Let's begin with what we know. Iraq has spent years rebuilding and modernizing its banking system. The country has introduced digital payment systems, expanded electronic banking, improved anti-money laundering regulations, and worked closely with international financial institutions. These reforms are not random. They're part of a larger effort to connect Iraq more deeply with the global financial system. When banking officials travel to Washington, they're often discussing compliance standards, financial transparency, investment opportunities, and international banking cooperation. That alone makes these meetings important, but many analysts believe the timing makes them even more significant. Why? Because Iraq is entering a period where implementation matters more than planning. For years, officials talked about reform. Now they're actively executing reform. And that shift is what investors are watching. 2. Iraq's banking system is changing fast. For years, Iraq relied heavily on cash. Many citizens kept their savings outside banks. Financial transactions were often handled manually. That created challenges for economic growth. Today, Iraq is trying to change that. The government and the central bank have been encouraging citizens to use bank accounts, payment cards, and digital financial services. The goal is simple: bring more money into the formal banking system. Why does that matter? Because modern economies depend on transparency and efficiency. When transactions move through banks instead of cash networks, governments gain better visibility into economic activity. Tax collection improves. Fraud becomes harder. Investment becomes easier. International institutions prefer working with countries that operate through modern banking systems. That's why Iraq's digital banking push is so important. Many analysts believe these reforms are laying the foundation for larger economic changes in the future. Think of it like building a house. Before you can install expensive furniture, you need a strong foundation. Right now, Iraq appears focused on strengthening that foundation. And according to multiple public statements from Iraqi officials, that work continues to accelerate. The question investors are asking is simple: what comes after the foundation is complete? Why Washington cares about Iraq? Some people wonder why the United States remains involved in Iraq's financial development. The answer is larger than most realize. Iraq is one of the world's major oil-producing countries. Its geographic position makes it strategically important. Its economy influences stability throughout the region. A stronger Iraqi economy benefits not only Iraq, but also international partners. The United States has long supported financial reforms that encourage transparency, economic growth, and stability. That's why meetings involving Iraqi officials and American financial institutions often receive significant attention. These discussions aren't necessarily about currency values. They're about creating conditions that support long-term economic success. And those conditions include strong banking systems, financial transparency, international compliance, investment protection, economic diversification. When these pieces come together, investor confidence grows. And confidence is one of the most valuable assets any economy can have. That's why analysts pay close attention whenever Iraqi financial leaders travel abroad for high-level discussions, because major economic changes usually begin with conversations before they become public actions. The biggest mistake investors are making. Let's talk about something important. Too many investors focus exclusively on one thing, the rate. Every day people ask, what will the rate be? When will it change? How high can it go? Those questions are understandable, but they may not be the most important questions. The better question is, what conditions need to exist before major monetary changes can occur? That's where serious analysis begins. Successful investors focus on fundamentals. They study economic reforms. They monitor banking developments. They watch legislation. They pay attention to international partnerships, because those factors often matter more than rumors. The truth is that nobody outside official institutions knows future exchange rate decisions with certainty, but we can observe trends. And one trend is clear. Iraq continues moving toward a more modern financial system. That doesn't guarantee any specific outcome, but it does provide context. And context is what separates informed investing from emotional speculation. The investors who remain patient and disciplined are usually the ones best positioned when opportunities appear. The real story nobody is talking about. As we wrap up today's discussion, I want to leave you with one thought. The most important development isn't a headline, it's a process. For years, Iraq has been building the infrastructure needed for long-term economic growth, banking reforms, digital payments, international cooperation, financial transparency, regulatory improvements. These changes don't generate exciting headlines every day, but they're often the developments that matter most. The reason so many people are watching Iraq right now isn't because of a single meeting. It's because that meeting appears to fit into a much larger pattern. A pattern of modernization, a pattern of reform, a pattern of increasing integration with the global financial system. Will every expectation become reality? Nobody knows. Will every prediction prove accurate? Probably not. But what we can say is this: the conversation around Iraq today looks very different than it did 5 or 10 years ago. And that's why investors continue paying attention. The smartest approach remains the same. Stay informed, stay patient, stay prepared, focus on facts, ignore unnecessary panic, and remember that major economic transformations are usually built step by step, not overnight. Thank you for watching Global Currency Watch. If you enjoyed this analysis, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay informed, stay prepared, and keep watching the global currency markets.